But this goal for us was with different emphasis. How can we use technology really to create a better society? Not technology per se is often packaged with people.
May, age 17, from the Philippines. Give her a big round of applause. On to the 12 to 16-year-olds category. I'm going to have to get my best Latin American accent on for this one. The winner is Angelica Miriam Montero Popocato, age 14, from Mexico. This bit really is very good. Okay, so let me just give you the briefest of introductions. Aidan Gallagher is an actor, musician, a UN Environment Programme Goodwill Ambassador, and in fact he was the youngest UN Goodwill Ambassador ever designated in the UN system. Aidan is passionately active in the climate movement. He uses his platform as an entertainer and a performer to share environmental messaging with a significant global audience via, of course, his social media following. And in November 2021, he started his Trees with Aiden Initiative in conjunction with Envision Rating, with a goal to inspire 1 million climate action pledges, for which Envision will match up and plant 1 million trees. Let's bring it on, shall we? Please welcome Aidan Gallagher. How do you want to do this? Do you want to stand? Do you want to sit?
I have no idea.
Oh, just go take a seat. Take a seat. How are you?
Fantastic, huh?
Yeah? Have you been at the track already? What have you been doing in the last...
Yeah, so I flew in yesterday and we were at the track all day.
Yeah. Excited about the weekend?
Yeah.
Envision in the mix for the titles. It's exciting. We've got this event here. Are you sensing that excitement about the weekend and about this conversation, eh?
I'm just waiting to see Cassidy up on that podium.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's go. I mean, like, you know, it could well happen. And Envision, we know, are leading the team's championship. But let's talk about this issue here. First of all, just give us a little bit of background, if you wouldn't mind, Aidan. How and when did you first become engaged in this issue, the climate crisis, and also how did you become a UN Goodwill Ambassador in North America?
Right. So, first of all, hi everyone. I sort of got involved around the age of 9. I initially grew up in LA and I was surfing, and I wanted to go surfing one weekend when it had rained, and my dad said that we couldn't go because of all the pollution from the land had washed down into the ocean and you could get like an ear infection or an eye infection. So, you know, as a kid, the most you would sort of learn about or think about the environment, you know, they tell you to recycle in schools and stuff, but that was a big moment in terms of connecting what I do and realizing that it had this large implication to, you know, it's the sea, it's miles away, and it's this vast body of water, and there's so much pollution to the extent where you don't even want to go in the water because you could get like an infection. So that just seemed like a really massive thing to me, and it started the sort of thinking and the curiosity side of things. And I would Google, and around this period of time I got into social media and started getting information through that. And as I began to sort of amass a following on that, it was a very natural pivot to, well, I should be sharing this, I should repost this. So I'm very much just like a messenger passing on information that we get from experts and trying to show it to as many people as possible. So naturally, I got in connection with the UN. I was just reposting a bunch of the information they were putting out, and I think it was 2019. I don't. Eventually, we started working together, and they made me a UN ambassador.
Yeah.
And it's been growing from there.
Yeah, fantastic. So interesting that actually your first engagement with this was through sport, was through surfing. And I think it's one of those things that sometimes we forget. We think about, the climate crisis, we think about global warming, or as it's been called in the media today and by Antonio Guterres yesterday, global boiling. But actually, it's not just the planet's a threat, it's that everything on the planet is a threat, like sport. Like the things that we love, like, we saw a Formula One race earlier this year cancelled because of flooding in Italy. So it makes you realise the impact on everything on this planet, not just the planet.
Well, I try and use the term climate change as opposed to global warming because you have places getting drastically hotter and places getting cooler and weather patterns shifting. Like it's just
extreme rain,
the balance of everything.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's exactly it. That it's the extremes. It is how things are changing more rapidly, more extremely, more frequently. Talk to us about your role with Envision Racing and how long you've been an ambassador, what sorts of work you've been up to with Envision.
Okay, so starting in 2021, as you mentioned earlier, we began to have this partnership with Envision where people can go to the Envision website and take a climate pledge. There are 12 of them, and it'll sort of walk you through all the various ways that you could reduce your impact on climate change. And in taking this free pledge, Envision will plant a mangrove tree, mostly in Madagascar, and we're up to around like 175,000 trees and growing.
All right.
So, yeah, that's been an amazing opportunity that essentially anyone can go online, see what they might already be doing, see what else they could do, and very easily do something which is both individual and communal. You're part of all of these other people who are helping to essentially replant an entire forest. And so great about these mangrove trees is they're incredibly good at absorbing carbon and a bunch of other stuff like protecting ecosystems with the way the root systems work. So it's just an all-around amazing opportunity, and I'm very lucky that we're in such a partnership where we can bring this to so many people.
And connecting people with nature again. I guess that's the other thing, isn't it? We talked about that. Yes, there is the carbon emissions side of it and understanding, what roles trees play and mangroves play, but also that sort of tangible side of it too. Why has this worked? How come you've got such good results? Why is it that fans out there have really responded so positively to this, do you think, Aidan?
I think just the accessibility of it. With everything I do, it probably comes from the sort of ADD, OCD parts of me, but simplicity, and generation, maybe attention span gets a lot shorter. Simplicity and how it relates to somebody personally is the way in which I've seen the most sort of engagement. If someone is going about their day and they happen onto a particular movement and they're absorbing information like that flow, talking about social media, their instinct is to keep going. So simplicity and how it relates to them personally, how it's going to affect them, or how they could personally take action. Anytime which it's been reduced down to its key elements, that it's a very tricky thing, because it's like you have a variety of environmental crises, and they're all extremely complex, and it seems like this massive thing, and it's mixed up with climate anxiety. It's just, it's like a lot of
Do you suffer
things.
From that? Do you suffer
Yeah,
from anxiety?
All the time.
Do you?
But it helps coming to things like this.
What does that take? Do you sort of go deep? Do you think about it a lot? Because I think that, I would say that I do. I've got 2 young children. I think that it's age agnostic, climate anxiety. It doesn't matter how old you are. Anyone can feel this. But in a way, that's a huge driver, isn't it? Because it's that is that fear. Can you turn it into something positive and have that accessibility, like you say?
Yeah, it's hard in that state of anxiety to flip it and use it to really drive you, because for me personally, I equate it to I see it in my head as this massive, this is when I'm having climate anxiety, I see it as this massive tidal wave. It's this ginormous problem, and I'm this small thing. What can I do to overcome that? And, that's a very hard position to overcome and to try and even want to engage with. The inclination is to distract yourself and go somewhere else. So I have been able to get past that personally by seeing people who are much smarter than me and on the front lines of fighting a variety of crises in different ways, both with these movements in which they're involving lots of people, and then also innovation to find creative solutions around this, which makes the whole process of fighting this a lot more efficient. So, yeah, any time in which if I look to the right places, I find that I could be filled with optimism just as much as you could sort of scare yourself away. So, yeah, there's a lot of people out there who, we've definitely seen that at this panel, who are looking at all of this complexity in the right way and know how to handle it. And it very much is a collaboration, and we're seeing that happen. So that's what's inspiring.
I was going to say that, but I think also, you were saying how it feels like this ginormous problem, but you have found your expression to try and do your bit, and everyone does their bit in different ways, and hopefully it is coherent, hopefully it is collegiate. But speaking to the audience that you do in the way that you do, and cutting through with that clarity, cutting through with that accessibility, so that it feels that you've got a direct call to action and they can do something, they feel they are making a contribution. That is, I sense, very much the way to go about this. I wonder though, not everyone does what you do, Aidan. Do you think that, what responsibility do public figures have to use their platform to drive positive change? And as I say, not everyone does it. So what are the challenges around that?
I've always found it very easy. I mean, social media is an incredibly powerful tool. Nowadays, you can, going about your day out and pull out your phone. Maybe you're at lunch and you're waiting on a friend or whatever. You're just on there. And then if you follow the right accounts, then information pops up. And with the click of a button, all of a sudden, everyone who happens to look at your feed can see the same thing that you're seeing. So it's incredibly easy to do. You can just repost. So that's a very simple way to take action. There are a lot of other ways that you can. I grew up with it, so I didn't really think about it. It's more so just the natural pivot of, wow, I didn't know this. This is going to impact me and the people that I know and people around the world who I've never met. And in a way, we're all in that together. And yet, 5 seconds ago, I had no idea that this was even happening. And so I just would see it and try and pass it on. You can do that on a social media level, but you can also do that just within your own social circles.
Right, exactly. So
it's always seemed like a natural thing to do, but yeah, I do think if you I very much am in this in terms of luck, that I've been someone who encountered what's going on, and then, oh my gosh, I have people who happen to see the things that I put out. So I do feel responsible in a way to share whatever I come across that I feel is important. Greta puts it really well in this metaphor of a burning house. And I look at it that way a lot, of if the house is on fire, there are people who are unaware of it, they're sleeping, you want to wake them up, and communally, there's no other house to go to, so we got to put out the fire.
Got to wake them up, got to put out the fire. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I often look at people like yourself, Aidan, and in my world as a sports presenter, athletes who have huge profiles, who a lot of people look up to and look to for a steer for how to lead their lives. And I think it is sometimes tricky because those athletes, those people with profile, worry about hypocrisy, worry about getting that backlash from the audience when they say they stand for something like climate action, and then the response might be, oh, hang on a minute, you fly around the world playing in all these fixtures and competing in these tournaments, etc. And so they therefore go, oh, actually, I'm going to retreat back in.
Yeah.
So I can sense why that might be.
That's another, in addition to like simplicity in terms of messaging, I always stress that like, you don't have to be perfect, like don't be a saint, just like do something, do what you can. Jane Goodall put it very well, that just every day make sure that you've done something. You know, when you're in bed at the end of the night, you got to make friends with the voice in your head. You know, I did what I could today. So yeah, I mean, as long as you're making some step forward, you shouldn't stress it on yourself.
Well, better to do something than do nothing, right? Because otherwise, what do? We just take our ball home and then just.
Well, it's like the optimism versus nihilism thing of this can be incredibly stressful, or this can be incredibly inspiring and collaborative, and something that at the end of the day I feel better about.
Yeah, and inclusive. I think that's the other thing, isn't it? Everyone can get involved with this. You know, whatever walk of life, whatever age you are, wherever you're local.
It's very cool to come here and see such incredible panelists from all these different industries and how they're crossing over and collaborating to create these incredibly smart and just these solutions that are going to help. You know, I'm as much here learning as I am coming.
But you're their megaphone.
I would have loved to yield my time and heard more about what they're going to say.
Well, I mean, just even simply the fact that you're helping, you know, spread it, but you are their megaphone. And I don't know if you know this, but research from MIT shows that unfortunately, scientists over decades have become less and less listened to or influential in society, but actually people with platforms like yourself and people in sport are more and more listened to, which makes me think, okay, so then we've got to be their megaphone. We've got to collaborate with people like...
Well, electric racing is a perfect way to start talking about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to close with a question that's been submitted by a fan in Brazil. Her name is Melissa Silva, and she asks this. What are the main initiatives that a teenager can take to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote adaptation to the impacts of climate change? What would you suggest for Melissa?
Well, an incredible resource at the moment, and it's one of the things which we've been trying to push really hard, is these climate pledges that you can take just on the Envision website. So there are 12 of them. They're all different. Some of them have a little bit of overlap, but it'll walk you through the different ways that you can fight climate change. And I look to that as a resource. To name a few, you can reduce meat consumption. You can look at ways of recycling e-waste, or just managing it in a way in which it's not just being thrown away. And so many other things. Like there's a lot of stuff in there about like energy consumption and how best to use it. I'm not doing a good job here, but the Envision website...
No, you are.
It's perfectly laid out. It's incredibly simple.
But you are. Don't
in
do yourself
addition
a disservice
to it being
here, right?
like an individual thing for free, a tree is going to be...
But again, I'll come back to it. The climate crisis is a communications crisis. We need to communicate better. We need to make it accessible. And I think that, you are helping doing that. And hopefully these 12 initiatives...
I'll do what I can, as long as I can.
Fantastic. Aidan, we're going to have to leave it there, but it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. You're such an inspiring figure, and we really do appreciate you being involved in this conversation. Ladies and gents, Aidan Gallagher.
can't get a picture done. They're too fast. They're too fast.
Trade your spots for a second. We'll start off with the tough questions. Would you rather wear jeans that are one size too small or shoes that are two sizes too big?
I'll go with the tight jeans in honor of Will Ferrell's tight pants skit. a great answer.
What is it about Formula E that you love so much?
Well, I mean, look at how exciting, you'll hear the car pass by in a second. What more exciting a way to bring about talks about sustainable change, and, you know, there's just so much energy here that it becomes very attractive.
What have you made of the food here, and what's usually your favourite meal?
Seems all right. You know, I'm pretty simple. I like rice and beans when I'm at home, and I don't know how exactly it's prepared here, but the beans at the hotel seem to be good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're a big fan of the hotel beans. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm sure they'll be glad when
I've
they
yet
see
to
that.
put it on toast, though. That's the next
Oh, you
endeavor.
100% have to do that. That is the
I
English
should
way.
do that.
What was the last song you listened to?
It's probably Radiohead. I don't know. I listen to a lot of MCR, a lot of Radiohead, like I said. John Mayer, Phineas, Elliott Smith, Billie Eilish.
Last question. We'll do a last question.
Yeah.
What's the best place you've ever visited in the world? Favourite
Best
place you've
place?
been? Other than London. We'll say London for granted.
You
Number
stole
one.
my answer. I was going to say.
Oh, you say London
Say
then?
the Formula
It's
E
London.
race in London.
Okay.